You see, the PlayStation 2 is probably one of the best and good things about Sony, and that says a lot. You see, Sony recently joined the bandwagon of the video game industry with the PlayStation 1, and entering the 2000s. Sony had a brilliant idea and strategy to push out their new console for the 6th generation, and man, let me show you how. I bet you guys have TikTok and Instagram. I bet you guys have seen one of these videos / edit. This aesthetic was very much within the time of the PS2 releasing, and how everyone was hyped to get the new console, and man, I wish I can get a poster of these ads. But nowadays, social media wish they lived in this era, since people now fall in love with this type of art, and I mean, me too honestly. Sony was very desperate to up the ante to surpass the amazing debut of their previous console, and they had to do it again with the PS2. Now I bet those ads and posters you saw were very unusual to say the least, because Sony had a way to attract people to see a weird, freaking poster to market their new console. During this time, Sega and Nintendo had their ads and marketing towards kids, while Sony was aiming towards the mature audience, like young adults, that just got off the PlayStation 1. Sony wanted to make a new console to play more graphical and impressive games. First, we have to talk about their controversial ways to market the PlayStation 1. During my research, I found out how Sony decided to target young adults with their console. You see, Sony had brought out nightclubs and had demo rooms inside of them for people to play Raid Racers, a driving game that everyone enjoyed in 1997 for the PlayStation 1 and still targeted for the PS2. Sony even made a flyer for the PlayStation 1 that said, "It's more powerful than God," which spurred more controversy for them. And not only that, but the flyer was also on cardboard serration cards that would perfectly come off and be rolled as a joint. Yeah, Sony knew what the fuck they were doing in the late 90s for the PlayStation 2 ads, as they were going for anything that showed off their console. They wanted to tell their audience, hey, we're sleek, we're more mature, and a little fucking weird. And man, they were not wrong. They were fucking weird. The ads that played during the national television on cable, damn, do people even use cable anymore? But I digress. The ads themselves were revealed with very bizarre sequences of events that mix with surreal and the unusual. It's almost like telling people with boring lives that they should use our console. We got more mature games and can be used to play DVDs. I still use mine for DVDs actually. Let me show y'all some examples of the ads that we will talk about. This ad. This ad was seen as controversial at the time along with other advertisements, but this one stood out with me because how eerie it is. I mean, let's just examine this magazine and ask why there's a black dot in the blood. This apartment has mold, like, bro, clean. The PlayStation logos as tattoos are really cool, and I really like that aesthetic. But shit, every single one of these ads are eerie, and what even is this one? The first ad I showed off looks very much inspired by a painter that I'm a huge fan of, Salvador Dali. I believe most people know his art piece called The Persistence of Memory, but he did make a lot of paintings as well. I believe that Sony was inspired by Salvador Dali's work, since they knew the unusual feeling of this aesthetic works well to attract people into buying their new product. It also looks like Sony was inspired by the art of cinema, since they wanted to go more with the narrative of storytelling within some of their games. Heck, they even used the legend director David Lynch for some of their ads. The grimy look of the late 90s and the early 2000s found themselves within these ads, and they fit well within the works of movies during that time, like The Matrix. For any of you out there, Mr. Lynch did some media like Twin Peaks, which is one of my favorite shows, but also films like Laserhead and Mahalo Drive, and those films fit into the genre of the surreal and unusual. Mr. Lynch was a visionary, and had such a creative way to show his art within media. It is a shame that we lost him this year back on January 16th of this year. Man, rest in peace David Lynch. Sony had used Mr. Lynch for a lot of the commercials for the PS2, some more unusual than the other, but the one that recently resurfaced when he passed away was this ad called Welcome to the Third Place. This advertisement campaign, the collaboration between Sony Computer Entertainment Europe and the ad agency TBWA, who had worked on the Double Life campaign for the PlayStation 1 and had the concept of the third place for the PlayStation 2, which evolved as a place to go beyond, since technology was getting way advanced at the time. I will show 2 clips of this ad campaign, so you guys can get a clear idea how surreal and obscene these ads are. These ads are clearly shown and made to show people that the PlayStation 2 is something beyond reality. I mean shit, Metal Gear Solid 2 came out within this gem. Remember that game? And how it mirrored the real world? Man, that game is so great. But back to the ads. Let's look at the Sleepless Nights 2 ads. These look very much artistic within the PlayStation logos inside the eyes. And this one with the woman with no body. You wouldn't even tell this is a marketing tactic for the PlayStation 2 unless you see the PlayStation 2 logo. I mean, you can easily do this within Photoshop. After all these ads and commercials, Sony made the right move for their next big project within the gaming industry. Look at the midnight release for this console alone. Like, I wish I was born earlier so I can camp at a GameStop for the new PlayStation. I mean, look how these people look. They are so happy and hyped to play a new generation of video games that are so close to looking realistic. Shit, look at the games that they released for the PS2. God of War, GTA 3, Jak and Daxter, Tony Hawk Underground, Kingdom Hearts 2, the best one, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil 4, Shadow of the Colossus, Silent Hill 2, and Silent Hill 3? I mean, come on! The sales of the PlayStation 2 began to skyrocket through the heavens, and is now the second most purchased console of all time. But I'm pretty sure the reason why people bought the PlayStation 2 is because of the DVD compatibility that the console had. I used it to play my copy of Monster House on DVD, whenever the house didn't have Wi-Fi back then, when I couldn't watch Jacksepticeye play Happy Wheels too. I firmly believe Sony is in a completely perfect place now because of the success of the PlayStation 2, since the PlayStation 2 made such a bank for them that it's the longest run of a home console ever. Sony still uses the futuristic art style for their next consoles too. But let's go through the menu of the PlayStation 2, like with the clock symbol on the home screen and the loading screen being towers with a beautiful sif of piano keys. Fun fact, but the towers within the loading screen are actually your games within your memory card, and the longer you play those games, the taller the tower becomes. Honestly, a good choice from Sony's part, and a nice bit of detail. I would even say that this place that the towers are in is the third place that Sony was marketing. But I don't know, it's just my headcanon. Plus, I really like how Sony responded to the fans that wanted the old PlayStation menus on the PS5 for the 30th anniversary for PlayStation, and decided to keep it. And since they did that update, I've been rocking the PS2 menu the most. But nothing beats the PS4 ambulance sounds. Also remember how these commercials and ads were very much mature. With the games releasing with the PS2, the games were also very much mature, like GTA 3, since kids were playing that game, which created a lot of controversies too. But all I can say is that Sony honestly did a great move on their part, and for using this tactic. With the amazing ads and the commercials, Sony successfully peaked at marketing their most successful console of all time. And now, it is my favorite console of all time. But that's a video for another time. But this video isn't about the PS2. It's about how